Hi guys, so today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be rearranging the terms so that we can add or subtract mentally. And what we're going to do is we're just going to basically look to see if we can combine some like terms and then we can solve them. So when I look at 1/4 plus 2 2/3 plus 7/4 plus 1/3, I notice that I've got fourths and I've got thirds. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of move them around a little bit. And I'm going to start off with 1/4 plus 7/4. And I'm going to add that to 2 2/3 plus 1/3. Okay? And so now I can go ahead and add this up. Well, I've already got common denominators, so I can add these up. So I've got 1 plus 7 is going to be 8/4. And I've got 2 plus essentially a 0 here, so I'm going to have 2. And then 2 plus 1 is going to be 3/3. Okay? Now, you don't want to find a common denominator right now because what we can do is we can actually simplify this because 8/4 is actually 2. And then this 3/3 is actually 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So this answer to that equation is actually 5. All right. Same thing over here. I've got 2 3/5 minus 3/4 plus 2/5. Now the thing is that this minus 3/4 goes with whatever the sign is that's in front of that fraction is what goes with that fraction. So I don't want you to think that when I can move these that I can move 2 3/5 and I'm going to subtract 2/5. That sign that is right in front of that fraction stays with it. So I can actually move 2 3/5 and I can add 2/5 and then I'm going to subtract 3/4 to that. Okay, so now I can go ahead and add this part up. I've got 2 and then 3 plus 2 is 5/5 and I'm going to subtract 3/4. Now before I start going and figuring out common denominators, this is actually 1. So what I actually have here is 3 minus 3/4. Now there's one way that you can do this. If you can mentally see this, that I take and borrow 1 and create that fraction, you can do that. Or what I can do is I can break it apart and make that 1 whole 4/4 because that's what this fraction is, and I can subtract 3/4. So now I'm going to get 2, and then 4 minus 3 is 1/4. Some of you guys might be able to do this step right here mentally to get this answer right there. If it's something that you can't do, then go ahead and borrow and create that fraction that does equal 1. Okay. So down here, we've got, it looks like a lot of subtraction here. So this will be pretty simple to be able to do this. So I'm going to move my sevenths together. So I've got 4 3/7 minus 3/7. And what I'm going to do to this is I'm going to subtract 3, oops, sorry, I shouldn't make that so big. 3/4, and I'm actually going to add 2 1/4. Now the reason why I am doing that is because I'm going to be subtracting this right here, but no matter what, if I were to put this subtraction sign here and distribute this out, it would be subtraction. The reason is because I can't just move this all around. I have to be able to subtract this, and of course I can't just take that 3/4 minus 2 1/4. So that's why I have that plus there. So what I'm going to get is 4, and then 3 minus 3 is 0/7. And so that, guys, basically is 0. Okay. And I'm going to subtract, and when I do the math here, I'm going to subtract a 3/4 minus 1/4. Or sorry, I'm going to add 3/4 plus 2/4, and that's actually going to give me the answer of 3 because 2 is my whole number, and then 3 plus 1 is 4/4, and that is 1. So remember, this is basically not needing to be there. So this equation ends up being 4 minus 3 equals 1. So the answer for this one is 1. Okay, this one's just a little bit tricky because you're probably sitting there thinking, why did you add that? And just the reason is because when I moved it around, I was able to subtract it, but I wanted to combine these two terms to be able to subtract it. Okay, so over here on letter D, I'm going to move these around, and I'm going to get 5/6, and I'm going to add 1/6 because that's the signs that are with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract. And when I look at this, guys, what I have is I have 1/3 minus 4/3. Well, I can't really do that. So what I do know is that when I subtract these two, guys, it's actually going to be subtracting 3/3. Okay, and that's just because I kind of worked a little bit backwards. 4 minus 1 is 3/3, and I'm going to subtract that from there. So I've got 5 plus 1 is going to be 6 sixths minus 3/3. So guys, what is 6 sixths? Well, 6 sixths is 1 minus what's 3/3? It is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So your answer is going to be 0. All right. So this next one, it says to fill in the missing blank to make the statement true. And this one's pretty simple because all I'm doing is I'm just kind of subtracting going across. So I have 11 and 2/5, and I'm going to subtract, let's see here, I've got 3 and 2/3. And what I want to do is I want to add that 11/3. Okay, and the reason why I want to add that 11/3 is because I can't really subtract the 11/3 that way. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is now I can go ahead and do my work. So I've got 11 and 2/5. I'm going to subtract 3 and 10 or 11, 12, 13/3. Okay, and what I'm going to do though is I want to turn that into that improper fraction right here. And actually, you know what? I want to do that before I do this. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of second guessing myself on here. I want to turn this 11/3 into a mixed number first. So I've got 11 divided by 3. It goes in 3 minus 9. It's 3 and 2/3. Okay, so I'm going to have 3 and 2/3. And I'm going to subtract. So let's see here. I've got 3 plus 3 is 6 and 4/3, or 7 and 1/3 is what that's going to be. So I'm going to have 11 and 2/5, and I'm going to subtract 7 and 1/3 because I converted this right here. Okay, and so now I can go ahead and find that common denominator of 15. And I'm going to get 11 and 6/15 minus 7 and 5/15. And my answer here is going to be 11 minus 7 is going to be 4. And then 6 minus 5 is 1/15. Sorry, guys, I was off the paper. Okay. This one is going to be a little bit different because what I basically have to do is I need to add these two together and then figure out what do I need to get to make that to be 15. So right now this is pretty simple. Common denominator is going to be 40. Okay, so I'm going to multiply that by 5 and multiply this one by 8. Okay, so I'm going to have 11 and 35/40 minus 3 and, or sorry, plus 3 and 8/40. So let's see here, I'm going to add these up. So I'm going to do 11 plus 13 is going to be 14. And then I have 35 plus 8 is going to be 43/40. This actually converting this down. So if I've got 43 divided by 40, goes in one time, minus 40 is 3/40. And so I need to add that 14. So it's 15 and 3/40. Okay, but here's the thing, guys, is that I need to actually get rid of that. I need to have 15 as my whole answer. So right now, I basically need to subtract what from 15 to be able to get that 15? Well, I have to subtract 3/40. And the reason is because if you guys, if you take this and I subtract 3/40, because that's what it wants me to do right here is subtract a number to get 15. If I subtract 3/40, I get 15 and 0/40, which basically is a 0. So now my answer is 15. I know these are very difficult, but you just kind of have to work it through.